So welcome back. This is Knights of the Square Table. I'm your host, Jacob, and I have my associates here.
Zach.
Tyler.
And I'm Jared.
Today we'll be talking about education and many problems that we face in our educational system. So, what are the main issues here, you guys?
Are you looking at me? The main issue with the system is how we approach it. Just teaching in general, especially math, I think, is our biggest failure. And that leads into the science as being a huge failure.
Science?
Yeah.
You think science is a huge failure?
In our pre-college education system, even I have a huge issue with the way we do sciences in college.
So, were you prepared when you came to college?
I was pretty prepared for college.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you still think the educational system is wrong?
Yeah, so here's the thing. Let's say I did, 4 years of algebra arbitrarily, had no purpose. The only value algebra has is for calculus, which I didn't learn until I get into college, which I'm already doing sciences that require calculus. Why not teach me? Calculus is really simple. You could take calculus in elementary school and then use the algebra to back up the calculus. Now algebra has a purpose. Calculus already has a purpose. It's really simplistic, but it takes experience and thought to get through, and that's experience I don't have because I've been doing algebra instead of calculus.
So you don't like algebra? Not at all.
No, algebra's great, but algebra by itself is worthless.
Yeah, kind of like
I can't add x and x and do anything actual with it.
Yeah.
So in essence, Zach, I guess from what I hear you're saying is you want to see more of the application behind what's being taught in schools instead of just we're going to be doing algebra here. We want to be able to see the application or the purpose behind that.
Not only that, I didn't plan on coming to college after high school, so I did 3 years of algebra for no reason. I never got to calculus, so it served zero purpose. It was I just had to go to class.
Don't you think that you need some kind of background before you take calculus? You have to have some kind of algebra.
You need arithmetic. Yeah.
You don't need trigonometry.
Algebra.
You use trigonometry all the time in calculus.
Yes, you do, but it has very little purpose outside of calculus.
Yeah, but it applies to calculus.
Right, so learn the principles of calculus, which are really simple, and then you learn the algebra and the trigonometry in addition to that calculus. So now that all of them have a purpose. You could have taught calculus in elementary school, just the basic concepts.
Give me an example of that. Let me hear what you would teach a kid.
Just how you can go through a derivative. It's really simplistic, right? The idea of how we came to a derivative, you don't need algebra for any of that.
So you're just teaching principles behind it,
Yeah, that's
not
all
the
you
actual
need.
math and calculating
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
So-
You wouldn't.
It's teaching the math. It's just doesn't have the notation
Okay.
and some of the more esoteric applications like electricity and magnetism. However, you can get a derivative is the slope of a line, an integral is an area under a curve. Those are very easy to understand.
Yeah, stuff that should be
And to
taught
show
to us
visually,
long
you can
ago.
do that with your hands and do the math.
Yeah, there's a book I really love about education. It's called Whole Game Learning, and in essence, what it's saying is let's not just teach kids how to do batting practice. Let's teach them how to play the whole game of baseball. And so it's saying that instead of just teaching kids how to, add 2 + 2 or x + y, let's teach them the whole game, the whole concept of what this is all about. And as they're learning to play that whole game, they're going to be learning the tiny concepts as they go. And I think that's a powerful concept.
Yeah, just think of how capable you'd be if you've been using calculus for the last 6 years before you came to college.
I don't know. For me, I would think I would need some kind of background before I even tried to mount that big giant hill that I would have to go over.
I think you feel like that because you had all this background. You show up here, and then they just hit you with incredible.
Yeah.
It just their calculus isn't just hey, here's the basic principle of calculus. It's also now you got to try to utilize it.
It's completely wrong.
Yeah, it's
So
You
yeah,
shouldn't
that's.
even start with calculus.
I think that's the problem is, you go and you're trying to take these really advanced classes, and you're afraid of them because you've never experienced anything like it. And so I would agree that some kind of beginning early on in your stage of life would help you introduce into it, so you're not as afraid as going into it.
Yeah, so
because
it's as much the way we think as the tools that we use that make it a hard concept.
Yeah, the way we think is the main thing we need to be developing, and that's why they give us algebra as half the argument, is so that you can develop a way of thinking. But the calculus is significantly different and far more important. And all of a sudden, I'm hit with it one semester where I have to learn it and then try to understand how to utilize it in a way I've never used math before.
Well, I think for me, I just jumped into calculus. It wasn't that hard for me, but that's just me. I don't know about anyone else. How did you guys do with calculus?
The concepts are easy, but utilizing. If you asked me to figure out the rate at which something was, leaving a funnel, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I could do an integral and derivative and all
So
that,
you
but I
can't apply
use
it.
I can't apply it
Yeah.
because that is something I've never really had any experience with.
That's why you take a applied science class.
Applied science.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting types of schools out there. I've visited several different types of schools throughout my education. I'm planning to be a future teacher, and there's several different schools I've seen. I've seen some schools that are just super traditional, where it's sit in rows of desks where the teacher's up talking and write stuff on the blackboard. And then I've been to schools where it's very much project-based learning, sort of like what we've been talking about here, where the students take something they're working on and use mathematical concepts or science or English or whatever they're studying to be able to solve real problems. And I think that system's so much more powerful. It helps kids make connections between what they're learning in class, what they're going to do in real life, and it just makes school so much more enjoyable from my opinion.
Okay. So let's move on with the setup of the classroom. Lecture base doesn't always work. What are your opinions on that?
It's the student's problem.
It's the student's problem?
Yeah.
It's all on the student, not
Yeah.
the teacher?
Nope.
They have no responsibility.
Barely. They're teachers. If they were good at something else, they wouldn't
So
be teachers.
you're saying if I am a good student, I can excel at anything. It doesn't matter what teacher is out there is going to help me learn.
If you're willing to learn information, yeah. There's no argument against a style of learning. If that one doesn't work for you, you got to go find what works for you and make it work. It's not like you can go to a business and be like, oh, I don't like how you present your information, change the whole process. You have to make it work. It's on you. If you want to do well, it's on you. It's not on the teacher. It's not the teacher's job to make you a good student. You have to be a good student.
I definitely agree that the student has a big role in their education.
You would like to see teachers present information in a better way, right?
Yeah.
In a more engaging way. But we can agree that the responsibility is on the student to learn. It's not on the teacher to force information into some kid's head. If that kid doesn't want to learn, that's not the teacher's problem.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's true. I like to think of it like this, that the teacher's responsibility is in essence building a bridge from no knowledge to having knowledge. And so the teacher needs to make that path accessible for the student. It's up to the student to cross that path if they want to. And so I think the teacher plays an integral part in education. Without the teacher, that the student's just sort of lost. The teacher really needs to be there as a guide and a facilitator in order to make that process possible for the student who wants to learn.
I agree in that, like, I can't just learn anything I want from a book. It's not really effective. I need someone to help me. But if that information isn't working, it's not on the teacher to just set me aside of the 60 students they have and just focus on teaching me some specific way. It's on me to learn, and it's on the teacher to help. But it's not on the teacher to force me to learn.
So I think a way we can kind of tie these last two topics together is that we need a different way of thinking. That's what calculus-based reasoning is a different mindset. And so the way that the teacher teaches could be a way to facilitate that new mindset that will actually help students overall. The teacher's more there of a way to teach how to learn than to actually teach the material, and the student has to take those tools of learning and apply them to the subject matter.
Well, that today ends our segment, and we will come back and do part 2 of this educational system. All right, thanks for watching. Please subscribe down below and give us a comment if you have any. Thanks for watching.